Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Game and Gig podcast, we're trying to figure out why everybody is so upset. There's been some outrage, Randy.
About The Last of Us Part 1?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Can you believe it?
Oh, I would have never expected
It's the first time that a Last of Us game has ever been caught up in such a controversy.
I know, it's amazing.
It's weird. I just never thought that they would catch Naughty Dog.
Well, I mean, it's a little strange. So if you're not, caught up with exactly what's going on here, I want to go over first, before we kind of get into our specific thoughts about it.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
I want to talk about what people are upset about. Because people are very, very upset.
Yeah, they're mad.
Go read some comments on this. It's pretty crazy. But people are upset because, first of all, it kind of went like this. We had a leak. Mm-hmm. It was first just I think it was maybe a screenshot, and then we got gameplay. Mm-hmm. And then once people saw what the game was and what was going on in the gameplay, they were very, very upset. And then Sony and Naughty Dog put out a video that seemed to be in response.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was filmed in advance, but it seemed like they put it out at a weird time to kind of I guess, play, I don't know. They were just trying to make up for it.
It seemed like a PR move.
Yeah, it seemed definitely like a PR move.
And that's the video that I sent you that night, I think.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. They put out a video explaining everything that was going on with this new remake, all the things that were improvements and stuff, to kind of clear up all the questions. Because people are upset because they're mad that the gameplay looks like The Last of Us.
Yeah, and so I get that. I mean, why would you want The Last of Us to play like The Last of Us? That sounds crazy, So, I'm sorry. I'm going to try really hard not to be super snarky, because I think The Last of Us is amazing, and I'm tired of all this crap.
I think I do want to tread lightly in some ways, because I think that there are legitimate reasons to be upset about something that's coming out. I'm not exactly sure that this is one of those instances, but at the same time, they did say that in the initial announcement, they said there would be improved combat, or at least they said enjoy the new and improved combat.
Yeah.
And they talked about taking things from Part 2.
Mm-hmm, they did.
And everyone's mind, including ours, immediately went to dodging and going prone.
I didn't even think about the going prone thing, but yeah, the dodging did come to mind for sure.
And those are the two things that I keep saying over and over and over, because they're not in The Last of Us Part 1. They did not add them to the original game. Mm-hmm.
And just to clarify, your stance on this is there are legitimate reasons for one to be upset. This just might not be one. That's your stance, right? I just wanted to clarify that, because I thought that was so eloquently put. But I agree. I did hope the dodge would be there. But just like we were talking about in the car yesterday, if you put a dodge in The Last of Us, which didn't have a dodge, they're going to have to adjust a lot of things for just that one mechanic, because a dodge is something you use a lot. And the game wasn't designed to be played by people who could dodge.
Or
by players that could dodge. Or go prone.
Right.
So that is going to involve to my redneck science brain, I mean, I ain't no game developer, but that seems like that would start a little bit of a domino effect of oh, well, now we got to change this. Now we got to change this about the AI. Now we got to change this and this and this. And then before you know it, it might not feel like The Last of Us Part 1 anymore.
Right. It could break things that we don't realize.
It could break things.
There are unforeseen consequences to both just adding it in the game and saying, okay, here it is now.
It's just like when they did the Shadow of the Colossus remake, and I watched that video about the creator saying the reason that he didn't want people to be able to move while they were aiming the bow is because it would break the game.
Because it originally wasn't designed to have that.
Yes.
Right. So, that is the main outrage. But this has brought up a whole other related conversation, and that is that the price is too high. It's $70, which is the new set price for all PS5 games, at least Sony-developed PS5 games, or Sony-published, I should say. Mm-hmm. And this one sticks to that price. It's $70.
Right. And I think we're gonna hit on that a little later.
Yes. I want to save our thoughts on the price, but I do want to make it that is another big conversation point right now, is that people are saying this is too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe there are more merits to that argument than to the argument of, what, there's no dodge.
Why can't I dodge?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
we'll get to that. Yeah. That's a different thing. So, Randy, I think you might be kind of picking up on how I feel about this outrage. But, do you think some of this is kind of warranted about the dodge and the gameplay specifically?
Well, I think that when they said that there would be improvements and they'd be taking things from The Last of Us Part 2 and injecting it into Part 1, because they didn't give us specifics at that moment, it's almost like they shot themselves in the foot, because this new video that they've released really goes through exactly what the changes are.
Yeah.
And I think if they had detailed that from the very beginning, I don't think there would be as much drama about it, because when you leave it ambiguous,
gamers' minds run wild.
Yeah, dreamers are gonna dream.
Gonna dream.
And they're gonna think, think about all, because The Last of Us Part 2 had amazing gameplay.
Yes, it did.
One of the best gameplay, examples that I can think of from the PS4 era.
Oh yeah,
it's one of my favorite games of all time. In fact, I think it is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah,
I love it so much. So of course I'm going to be like, think of all the things they could inject, and one of those is dodging and going prone, and also there was improved bow mechanics. There was a lot of things in Part 2 that was really great.
There was.
So because they weren't specific, I understand that at that point you just have to be creative and start coming up with things.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we know exactly what it's going to be, it's not that. Now, do I think the outrage is warranted? No. Do I think disappointment might be a little warranted? Sure. You can be disappointed that your favorite thing from The Last of Us Part 2 didn't get put into Part 1.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But the outrage, because people are genuinely mad about this. It's not just they're, and this could very well be just a vocal minority of people, people who are really upset, but it's not that many people. But it seems like it's a lot of people.
Yeah, and we have some theories on that too. But before we get to that, I do want to say, when I saw the announcement of Part 1, the remake, I remember them mentioning AI. I remember them saying enemy AI would be improved.
Yes.
But like you said, I don't remember any other specifics. And I kind of latched onto that, and I was like, well, enemies were way smarter than Part 2. That's going to be cool, in Part 1.
And it does seem like they made those changes.
And it looks great, and they made the companions more intelligent so that you don't get those stupid moments like you got in Part 1. Or, not Part 1, you got in The Last of Us.
The original.
So I think they're all great changes, and I'll tell you, the biggest thing that was in my head when they announced this remake wasn't, oh man, are they going to put the dodge in? Am I going to be able to go prone? Is the gameplay going to feel just like Part 2? It was, I hope they don't screw up the story, because that's the biggest part of The Last of Us. It's the story. And it seems like the story is 100% intact. So why can we not just be happy that we're going to experience this story in what is probably going to end up being the best way that we have to date, without it getting screwed up, instead of just being pissed off that we can't crouch or can't go prone?
I'm sure we can crouch.
We can crouch. We can crouch. Yeah. If you can't crouch, get mad.
Well, yeah, I completely agree with you.
I guess I'm saying half full instead of all empty.
Right. Yeah. Now here's the thing we have to keep in mind, because this could be, I don't want to say it's an impossibility, because this does happen. I do think that occasionally companies will, on purpose, try to stir up a little drama about their game.
Yeah.
So that they get people talking about it.
Right.
Because, there's no such thing as bad press.
That's right. If the haters are talking about you, at least they're talking about you.
Yeah, at least they're talking about you.
Yeah.
Do you think that this could happen? I mean, because Naughty Dog is pretty infamous now for all their games always have a lot of drama.
They do. You think Naughty Dog specifically made that announcement trailer vague enough, knowing that people would get their hopes up about how great Part 2 was, and intentionally did not put those things in the game just to get in the headlines? That's diabolical.
I'm not saying that they did that, because I don't think they did.
Yeah.
But if say we found out that they did, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm so surprised.
I mean, that's some like Puppet Master crap.
I don't think they are, but I mean, like, I do think that does happen. I do think that developers and publishers will try to, in some way, create some sort of drama so that people are talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it happened in this case.
I don't think this is one of those instances.
I agree that it could happen. And you're right. Naughty Dog, around every game, seems to get this big controversy. And that's, another one of our kind of theories is that maybe some of this outrage could be like holdover haters from part 2.
Yeah. And that's another thing I was thinking about is like, yeah, exactly. How much of this is actually just like residual hate from part 2?
Yeah. Because, that when that game dropped, God, everybody was so mad about everything. Mm-hmm. We can't really spoil part 2, can we?
No, we can't. Yeah, we can't spoil part 2.
That,
but there are things that people didn't like about part 2.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Like story beats that people were just like extremely upset about. And it wasn't gameplay, though. You could totally go prone.
You could totally go prone in that game. No, the gameplay was amazing in that. But there are some story aspects that people were very upset about. And as far as I know, the drama didn't necessarily help part 2. It still sold well. I think that it was just announced recently that it sold like 10 million copies.
Yeah, I think so.
But something like the original Last of Us sold more like, I'm going to guess like 30 to 40 million. Mm-hmm. When you count PS3 plus the PS4 remaster.
Yeah.
And now we're adding this on top of it. So like The Last of Us original is going to sell lots and lots and lots. It was a very, very popular game.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it was at least 3 to 4 fold more popular than part 2.
Yeah. And was there any, I don't want to say anything that will ruin anything in part 2, but there's a DLC in part 1 that maybe got a little controversial for Naughty Dog.
Yes.
And I wonder if that kind of started some of this Last of Us hate from some people out there.
Needless to say, no matter when it started, there is a lot of hate towards The Last of Us.
There really is.
The series. I mean, it's one of the most contentious games, period, or franchises, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the drama is just unreal that goes on about this game. But, so, there is at the end of the day, is this outrage warranted about this particular, about the game mechanics? No.
No.
I'm going to save my thoughts on price. And
yeah.
If you're watching this as a clip on our main channel, price will probably be in a separate video. But
yeah,
it
separate
may be
clip.
I don't know. We'll see.
Depends on what we say.
Depends on what we say, exactly. But, so, finally, what are your thoughts on part 1, this whole controversy? First of all, will you be buying part 1?
I will be buying part 1 so freaking hard. It's ridiculous. I mean, as soon as it got announced, I told you, like, I'm getting the collector's edition, and it immediately was sold out.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that. But if I could buy the collector's edition, I would do that. Yeah. So, yes, I will be getting it day 1. Mm-hmm. End of story. And I will be so excited.
Well, what about other people who maybe are, what do you recommend this game to others? Or you're a hardcore Last of Us fan, so because of that, of course you're going to get it. Like, I mean, it makes sense. But what about like someone who enjoyed it, but didn't love it as much as you did? They just like thought it was a good game.
So somebody who's played part 1 or the original already,
yeah,
but didn't like fall in love with it as much as me. I mean, why? If you didn't love it the first time, if you're not that interested in it, why would you go buy it? But if you're interested,
you don't think the improvements are enough to warrant a second playthrough to like see?
I mean, it's my favorite game of all time. So yes, I think it warrants a second playthrough, and I'm excited to play it again. But if you didn't love The Last of Us has always been about the story to me. It's about the story. I've gone on record saying I think it's the best story ever.
Period.
Like, that I've ever experienced. Mm-hmm. Whether that's books, movies, shows, don't care. So, yeah, I mean, I think you should totally go buy this because I'm psyched about it and I think it's going to be a great time. But if you didn't love it the first time, the story ain't going to change.
Right.
So if
the gameplay's not going to change.
And the gameplay's not going to change. It's just going to look better. So if you, If you want to experience the story again, sure, and you got the money, this is probably going to be the best way to experience that story. But if you didn't love it the first time, probably not going to love it the second time.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, and
but if you've never played it before,
that's what I was about to bring up.
Start saving your money right now and go buy it because it's going to be amazing.
Because I do think this will be the definitive way to do it.
Me too.
Not that it really, the remaster on PS4
Is great.
And I think that's really one of the reasons why there's so much controversy here is because there's already a really good way to play The Last of Us on current gen consoles. Like even on PS5, you can put in your PS4 disc for Last of Us Remastered, and it's still a great game and looks quite good.
Yeah, it does.
It's not going to look as good as this new thing.
No.
But it's still really good. And I think that is a lot to do with this sort of thing. That's why, like, people weren't so up in arms about, like, say Nintendo puts out a remaster of, let's see, Skyward Sword. You know, they hardly changed anything. They just they didn't even really upgrade the graphics. They just kind of moved it into HD and then put it on there. But there was no good way to play that game on current Nintendo consoles.
Right.
So that's why it didn't make so much big of a deal. They were more upset about the amiibo that had, that
let you fast travel.
And that was that was a way blown up controversy, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But
I'd buy a Last of Us amiibo.
But I think that's why there's more drama about The Last of Us, because there's already a good way to play that game on current consoles.
I mean, I agree. I mean, it's like we said originally, like, we don't need this remake. It's not a matter of need, but now that they're doing it, I'm pumped. You know, it's like, I want it. Do I need it? No. But do I want it? Heck yes. You know, so don't go down there and comment about how we're hating on the fact that they're remaking The Last of Us, because I'm trying to make that very clear.
No.
I'm very excited. But we didn't need it. I'm just glad we're getting it.
Yeah. And for you guys who are hanging out with us here, let us know what you think about all this Last of Us outrage. Do you think it's warranted? I mean,
yeah.
There are all different opinions out there. So if you think that we're like way out of line, or you agree with us on some things or disagree with us with others, either way, just let us know what you think. Leave a comment and let us know.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to move on to the next segment?
I'm ready to move on.
Okay. So I think this is something where we need to tread lightly, because I do think that I don't want to just be a hater, but this is something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and it kind of ties in with the whole Last of Us Part 1 controversy. It ties in with the Skull and Bones controversy.
Yeah. Common threads.
It's a very common thing that's been coming up a lot lately, and that is that gamers, do they set unrealistic expectations? Do they fabricate things, and then when it doesn't happen, they get all worked up? Is this a problem?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a recurring issue.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's black and white. Like, I don't think you just can say, like, gamers are being crazy or developers are underachieving. Like, I don't think it's either one of those things. I think it's case by case.
Okay.
And I think it probably depends on what was said about the game that got us, hyped in the first place. Like you mentioned, Skull and Bones. I feel like that's a case of gamers just deciding what they want the game to be, even though the devs never said it was going to be that.
Yeah. And I think something similar with Last of Us Part 1, where they never said that there was going to be these new combat things that are in there. But people are upset that they're not there.
Yeah.
Even though they were never promised that.
Right.
It's not like a No Man's Sky situation or like a Cyberpunk situation where they overpromised and underdelivered.
No Man's Sky is a great example.
Right.
I mean, that game was hyped majorly for years and years, and then when it came out, there was just hardly anything to do. Now Cyberpunk was just broken.
Right.
But No Man's Sky just didn't have the content that it had, or that they said it would have. Now apparently it's amazing, but I don't know. I'd like to play it.
I do think that it varies depending on the game. I think you're right. It's case by case, because I do think that sometimes the developers of games do underdeliver.
They do. They certainly can.
I think of like the worst offender of all, and I hate it because I love them so much, is Nintendo.
Oh yeah, it's definitely Nintendo.
They are the worst about this, because they will show you a game and they will literally sometimes, like, especially bad with Mario sports titles.
Yeah, any Mario, just pick one.
Yeah, just pick one from the last Switch. 15 years.
Yeah.
But especially from the Switch. In the trailers, they show you all the good stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you get the game, you realize what they showed you was literally the only thing in the
Yeah,
game.
you basically watched a Let's Play
Yeah.
in the trailer.
I just been burnt too many times on these Mario sports games, Mario Party. It's
Mario Party
all
let
these
me
things.
down.
They just let me down so much. There's just hardly anything there.
It sucks so bad about Strikers, too, because that game plays so well, and it could have been so good.
I know.
They just dropped the ball.
So
The soccer ball.
I do think that there sometimes are times where we get where things are under-delivered, and like I said, Nintendo's pretty bad about it. There are some companies who I think are not so bad about it, who I think get a bad rap.
Like who?
Well, well, let's say, like, for example, let's think of a recent controversy that came up where people were upset about. Okay, here's one. And this is something that I think we might disagree on.
Okay.
But
I'm ready.
one of the franchises that gets like so much hate is Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
I personally think that Assassin's Creed does not warrant as much hate as people give it, because although the game does have a lot of padding, it is really full. Like, there's tons of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I think I would rather a developer do that sort of thing. Like, they're not under delivering. What they want, what they say is going to be there is there plus more, but people get upset that it's like padded. So like Ubisoft really doesn't do that very much. And I can't think of a game that I played of theirs recently where I was like, gosh, that game didn't have anything.
Yeah. Do I come across as an Assassin's Creed hater?
No, but I just think that. Well, I mean, like you didn't.
I just
didn't
got
enjoy
burned
the most.
out on it. Is all it is, because It's not that there's not content. There's plenty, like you said, plenty of stuff to do. It's and it's cool. It's a cool idea. It was just like it was cool 10 years ago or whenever the first one came out, and it hasn't changed.
Well,
Like it doesn't feel any different than like Assassin's Creed 3 to me, and I'm sure it actually does. But it just, when I played Valhalla for like 15 hours, it just didn't feel that way. It didn't feel new, and that's why I didn't like it.
No.
So anyway.
But I do think that there are often like unrealistic expectations about like Ubisoft games, and specifically the Assassin's Creed stuff, because I feel like every time gamers are talking about Assassin's Creed, I hear the same things over and over and over. One, that's padded, but two, gamers really, really want a Assassin's Creed set in Japan.
Yes, they do.
And it's like, they will not shut up about this.
No.
It is like very clear that they want
You want to be a ninja.
they want to be a ninja assassin.
Yeah.
I get it.
And
That's
like,
cool.
And yeah, that's
would be
honestly
cool.
something that me and my friends were saying when the first game came out.
Yeah.
We were like, man, this would be cool in like old school Japan, you
Yeah,
know?
of course.
Like to me it just seems obvious, and I'm sure Ubisoft knows, and I'm sure eventually they'll do something like that. But
I'm sure, but it's like...
But they haven't said they're like doing it, so like stop getting mad about it. You know?
But every time a new Assassin's Creed game comes out, people are disappointed that it's not their ninja game.
Yeah.
And then when Ghost of Tsushima came out, everyone was like, "This is the Assassin's Creed game we've all been waiting for."
And I love that game.
It was awesome.
To be fair, I love that game.
And it was very Assassin's Creed like. Maybe that was what their whole goal was to make the Assassin's Creed game that wasn't made yet. I don't know.
But it was a samurai game, not a ninja game.
Right.
I think Assassin's Creed would be like straight up ninja.
Ninjas.
Yeah.
So, I do think that that's the case, but like some companies get a bad rap. Like, for example, sticking with the Ubisoft thing, I recently played Rayman Legends, and that game is phenomenal. One, it's got lots of content in the main game, and it has the pre-Rayman Origins, which was the game before that. It has that, pretty much that entire game is also there.
Nice.
You can go back and play the old game too, so it's huge. They packed so much into that game.
Yeah. So here's an issue.
Okay.
Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
I always say Ubisoft.
And I always say Ubisoft.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I would have to hear it directly from... I feel like... I've always said Ubisoft.
Yeah. I don't know if I've always said Ubisoft, or if I like heard that in some videos and then like adopted it, you know? I don't know. I guess we just need to hear from the company, you know? Ubisoft, sponsor an episode of the Gaming Gig podcast, and let's clear up this pronunciation issue.
We need to know. We need to know. So, now, when we're talking about gamers creating unrealistic expectations and fabricating these things, I think that it is important for gamers to voice their opinions.
Definitely.
Maybe it goes too far sometimes, but I do think it is important. And that's why
We do it every week.
Yeah, that's right. Literally, that's what we do. So I definitely don't want to make it seem like I am against people, voicing their opinions, whether they're negative or positive.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to agree with that. I'm not against free speech.
No.
Gaming Gig is not against free speech. I took specific issue with this one because The Last of Us is so near and dear to my heart. And I think people are being a little crazy. But I agree. It's your right to say whatever you want to say, for the most part. And if you're not happy, you should let developers know because maybe they'll listen, maybe they won't, but at least you let them know.
But it does kind of bum me out because I feel like being a gamer and being into the whole gaming scene and being into like interested in games before they come out and talking about games and stuff, the culture is somewhat, I don't want to say toxic because it's not toxic, but it's certainly very negative.
It sure can be. But I mean, it's been that way since the original like Halo multiplayer hit. Like people have been teabagging and
Right.
cussing you online for it. Like that's a tale as old as time, man. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it ain't new.
Right.
But it can bum you out.
It does bum me out. I don't know if I'm more like, if it leads to people being more disappointed in games or if it sets bars low so they're not disappointed when a game, I just don't know.
I think it could work both ways. I can't think of too many times when a bar has been set really low and then I played the game anyway and I was surprised. But it's probably happened.
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of times when the bar was set high and I didn't love it.
I know.
But that's just the way she goes.
But at the same time, this does create a scenario in which, say, a game is kind of getting a ton of drama about it, and people are, just dogging on it constantly. And then when it does come out and it does well, and it turns out that it is a good game after all, it does make those games stand out.
Definitely.
Because, I think of The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Tons of drama. I went into it just super excited because I loved The Last of Us. And it ended up being that I loved The Last of Us Part 2, despite the drama. But certainly, there being all this hatred about the game made me, a little bit worried about it,
Yeah, I mean, I knew that there was a bunch of hate, but I didn't read into it because I didn't want anything ruined. I think I went into it pretty just I could have been crushed because I was just so excited and open to it, but I purposely avoided reading too much. I didn't get on Reddit,
That's just a good life practice. Don't get on Reddit.
No, I love Reddit. You just got to watch where you go.
Dude, Reddit has changed.
Yeah, I guess. But
Reddit has gotten so much more negative. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might just be the internet, man. I think you spending too much time in the comment section.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't spend too much time in the comment section of either YouTube or Reddit.
Yeah, but you get on Reddit and look at pictures of cute dachshunds.
It's a good place to be.
That's a quality of life improvement right there.
Do you think that, going back to topic here, do you think that the companies, the developers, publishers, do you think they listen to the opinions of all the gamers who are all interested in this stuff?
I think it depends. And I don't know. I'm kind of grasping at straws, but I think there might be like an inverse relationship with how popular the company is and how much they listen sometimes. For instance, you think about an indie developer that releases their game on early access in Steam, and they get all this feedback, and then they release the game for real. Those guys probably really listened, and nobody knows who they are, and they're not making a ton of money. Small fish, right? Mm-hmm. But then you got Ubisoft. They're going to make the game that they know is going to sell, and I don't know that they care what you say about it.
Right.
All the time.
They're more informed by market research and what sells. And
yes.
That's what they're going to go for.
I think it's money talks. You know, especially when you get on a scale that big. You know, people have the same criticisms of like Apple. Like people have been calling for UBC, USB-C on the iPhones forever.
Yeah.
And Apple doesn't want to do it. And why do they not want to do it? Well, they have a huge network of accessories and things that they make money off of. They use Lightning. Why would they change it to USB-C? They're leaving money on the table at that point. Even though everybody knows it's better, even Apple, because if you get any newer iPads, like this one doesn't have it, but if you get the new iPads, they have USB-C because they know it's better. And I think video game companies do the same thing. That's what I think.
I think that there certainly are times when a company does listen to the opinions of, you know, the gaming collective and the people who are interested in it. But I'd say largely they don't. I think more often they listen to the, you know, where the money's going.
They listen to the money. They listen to that cha-ching, baby.
So that being said,
oh, good segue.
If you find that you are upset about these, whatever controversy it is, the app, you know, I don't mind people giving their opinions because I think that it's very important. We do it here. Why would we be upset that other people do?
Yeah.
If you disagree with us, that's fine too. Or if you agree with us, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if you are upset and you really do want to make a difference, the only real way to do it is to not buy the games that you don't think need to be out there. If you don't support what they're doing, don't buy them.
Yeah. That's the thing companies will hear quicker than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not buying the games, they're not going to keep making those games because they're not going to put millions of dollars into a game and a type of game that no one's going to buy.
Yep.
That's why. So, like, say something like the Avengers game. People didn't like that game, and I don't think they're going to do something just like that again.
I don't either. Yeah, that game tanked, it seems like.
Yeah.
I wonder if Nintendo will make another Mario Strikers like this.
Well, and that's the... I don't think so.
I don't know, man.
It'll
They
be
made
a
a lot
while.
of these sports games.
It'll be a while. And we'll have to see the numbers.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing.
People may have bought it.
We got to remember
just hated
that
it.
we are us. And if you're watching this, you're probably in this too. We are like in the gaming world where it's a smaller group of people than you think. And there are so many other people out there who play games and don't watch or care about any of this stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And that public, that general public who doesn't really get into the, you know, gaming news, they don't care.
And they buy the Assassin's Creeds, and they buy the Call of Duties, and anything that's
Well, and
got
they
Mario
buy the
on it,
Mario
and
parties, and they buy all the Mario sports, and they buy all the things that we get upset about. They buy them, and they really buy them.
Yeah.
Because I get it. It makes sense. If you're just looking for if you have like a family who just wants to have a game, Mario Party kind of makes sense.
It sure
A Mario
does.
sports game makes sense. If you're going to be playing it only casually, occasionally, sure. But yeah, in the day, you know, talk with your wallet. Don't buy something that you don't support.
That's right.
And that will definitely make a much bigger difference than just yelling on the internet.
Definitely.
But
It might not give you the instant gratification, but it'll be
yell
better
at-
in the long run.
Yeah, but yell at us because we like it when people yell at us.
Yeah, because if you're yelling at us, at least you're talking about us.
Yeah, it really drives the algorithm. So
Drive that algorithm. Well, Randy, you want to move into our poll? We've been holding back, you know,
We have
for the
been.
poll.
yeah, man.
So we did a poll this week.
A very important poll.
Very important. So The Last of Us Part 1 will cost $70. Is that too expensive? We asked the Gaming Gig Faithful. And 89% of you said yes, while only 11% said no. And that's out of a 188 vote sample size.
So I think this is a very multi-layered question because one, The Last of Us Part 1 being $70, is that too expensive? Obviously, most people think so. But I think if we had just asked the question, are $70 games too expensive? I think it would have been a pretty similar number that said
too.
yes.
Yeah. I wonder if it was 60, what it would look like.
Well, see, the thing is, the bar is now set at 70.
Yeah.
So anything comes in under, it's going to seem like a value, I guess.
Yeah. True. What do you think about this stuff, Randy? I read the poll results, so you get to start.
Okay. $70 for this game. This game is the creme de la creme of games.
Yeah.
So if you've played it before and you don't feel like you want to play it again, of course it's not worth $70 to you. Of course it's not.
Yeah.
Just wait. For those of us who are really into this game and love it this much and who appreciate it this much, $70, I'll be honest, $70 stings on any game.
Yeah.
And I love games.
Yeah.
But $70 stings on all games. So I don't want to make it
stings on anything.
Right. I don't want to make it seem like I'm cool with $70, but if that's the price that just games cost, that's the price games cost. I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt to spend it, but to me, is it too expensive? Well, that's just the price games are. So I mean, like, I'm okay with it. I've at least accepted it.
You're saying you don't think they should discount The Last of Us? You think it should make the normal price that a game goes for these days? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that, like, I don't think that it should be a discount title.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think just because it's a remaster or remake that it should be a discount title. There's all the remasters, or like remakes, I should say. Pretty much every remake that I know of recently is pretty much coming out at a full price game.
Oh, yeah.
Now, say like Demon's Souls that came out at the beginning of the PS5. That came out as a full price game, and that's a remake. Let's think of other things that have come out that are remakes. Oh, we just had one for Nintendo Switch. Live Alive came out, and it's $50.
Yeah, it's not a full price.
It's not, but it is a remake of a SNES game. So,
From like 1994, I think.
yeah, so maybe it's close, though.
Yeah.
But still.
But Nintendo's not charging $70 for Switch games anyway.
No, they're only charging $60.
Yeah.
So they gave
Have to wait for the Switch Pro to pay $70.
But like the Skyward Sword came out and it was full price. So.
And they caught a little heat for that.
They did. I'm trying to think of other remakes that have come out recently.
I mean, there's Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII, that was a full price game.
But that is a massive remake. That is like, they might as well have just remade a game, or just made a new game. I mean, it was.
Yeah. So I think that remakes, most of the time, it makes sense for them to be full price games, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I like that full price games are $70. That hurts. It's, especially if you're really into gaming and you buy a lot of games, it adds up and it adds up quick.
Yeah, it does. Well, we've done a whole episode about, how much of the market is remakes and remasters and all that. And so if you're interested in those statistics, go back and check that out. But we've also kind of talked about a couple times, I think, on the podcast, we've mentioned how not all games created equal, right? So like, some games are not worth $70. Some games aren't worth $20. And some games, and I think we've used Breath of the Wild as an example, is worth over $100. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so
it's hard to put a value on something that great.
And The Last of Us, to me, is even better. It's my favorite game ever. So is it worth $70? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I do hear you that $70 hurts no matter what. And like you said, I think if we'd asked, is $70 too much for new games? We'd still got a lot of yeses.
Yeah, it would have probably.
And I might have been a yes. I mean, I don't know. It's a nuanced issue.
But I do want to, like, if you've never played The Last of Us, The Last of Us is like one of the best games that you can play, period.
Yes.
And I mean of all time. This is really the top tier of games, in my opinion. I mean, it's obviously my opinion. Not everyone's going to agree with me.
S tier, baby.
But, so, if you're looking at a game that's going to, if any game's worth, full price, I'd say that
this is it.
That's one of them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not saying that, like, I get that it's an older game, but, like, guys, this is the game.
Yeah, it's the game.
So, let's see what people have to say about this, because we had some comments.
We sure did.
We have Daryl Dean, who said, considering it doesn't need a remake in the first place, I'd say yes, it's too expensive. I understand the argument that it doesn't need a remake, because the original is amazing.
And we've gone on record saying it doesn't need
It doesn't need a remake, but I'll take one.
That's right.
And I will say that I personally, one of my least favorite things about the original Last of Us is the model for Ellie. I do
Really?
not like the model they use for Ellie.
Why?
To me, it just looks weird. I don't know. It was modeled after Juno. You know, you know the movie Juno. Juno is modeled after that character, obviously, and it just is cringy to me.
It was yeah, I didn't even know that they had actually said that before. And I said that to you one day, and you were like, "Yeah, that's."
I don't know that they've actually come out and said it, but
I thought you said
it's pretty obvious.
I thought you said it had
That's-
pretty much been acknowledged.
The Last of Us has Juno in there. Yeah, so it's to
Fingernails.
me. To me, it's like that model. Every time I look at it, it just makes me be like, I don't like that. So I'm so glad that they have changed the model.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really glad that they've changed that particular model. That's obviously the most changed. They changed Joel. They've changed everybody. They've updated them, but Ellie's model really needed to be changed, in my opinion.
That weirds me. That surprises me that you feel so strongly about that.
I don't know why. It just like
It just looks like Ellie to me.
I mean, it looks like, but it also looks like Juno.
Yeah, but I like Ellie a lot more than Juno.
Juno was a good movie,
Hadn't seen that in forever.
but it just to me is like,
If you wonder why we're like looking off camera, there's a poster right behind the camera. I'm not just like looking into the ether and like thinking about Juno and Ellie.
so.
Anyway, we got us another comment here. Or you still got
No,
something?
well, go ahead.
So we got Larry House, longtime commenter. He said it's totally worth picking up and playing for those who are new to the series, or better yet, new to PlayStation. I'd say yeah, it's a game worth playing. But if you've played the original or even the remaster, I couldn't justify the price.
Fair.
Yeah, that's fair. If you're not a fanatic,
Yeah, I'd say that if you played the original and you're not a fanatic, if you're a fanatic, you're already super excited about this. You don't care what the price is.
yeah.
I mean, the only way I'd say, unless you are super excited about it, but you just cannot afford the 70. And if you're in that scenario, I completely get you. I feel you. I would suggest waiting because I do think this game is going to see a steep discount in
A day.
no.
A
Well,
week.
I shouldn't say that because I would normally say I think it's going to see a steep discount after maybe like 3 or 4 months. Maybe wait till like Black Friday and you'll probably get a really great deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Sony is changing. They're trying to become more like Nintendo, where they don't discount their Sony, like their games.
That's bad for us.
Nintendo has done that very successfully.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Excuse me. Yeah, Nintendo doesn't, as you know, if you could go, you look for Breath of the Wild, which was a launch Switch game, and there's a very good chance that if you go look for it, it's still going to be $60. It has not gone down in price.
Oh, GameStop, I just told you, I'm looking for a copy of Smash Ultimate because I only have it digitally. And I was at GameStop, and their used copy that they had there was $54.
For used.
Yeah.
60 for the new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that Sony is trying to do this with their first party games. They're not discounting them as much. So if you had asked me a year or two ago, I would have said, just wait, it's going to go on heavy discount. But now I'm not so sure. That being said, there are other ways to play these games. Specifically, I would look, if you really, really want to play this game and you just don't have the $70, I would look into GameFly.
Yeah.
Because GameFly, at least as far as I know, still has a free month trial that they offer. You could get the game for free, play it, and then send it back. So there's always that.
That'd be a great idea. You could play a few games, probably.
Yeah, so there's always options out there. I would say that GameFly is very underutilized by most people. So our last comment we had here about the price of the PlayStation is, this one is from...
Seriously?
I should have read the name before putting it. This is Hoff, Jack Hoff.
The name's Hoff.
It's Hoff, Jack Hoff. Mr. Hoff says...
It's just a funny name. It just sounds funny. I don't know. Anyway.
Says it's only bad if companies start gouging. 60 versus 70 is basically the same. I wanted to bring this comment up because I do think that there is a conversation to be had that $70 isn't that different than 60. It's been 60 for a long time, and now it's up $10. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, $70 now is still cheaper than $60 was back in the day if you, adjust for inflation. So, There's some truth to this.
There's some truth to it. At the same time, though, I mean, like if you don't have $70, $70 is going to seem like a lot.
Absolutely.
I have $70, and still $70 seems like a lot.
And I'd like to keep it.
Yeah. I do think that I agree. The only times that I see that it really bothers me is when companies are charging more than like the going rate, which does occasionally happen. Generally, it only happens with like deluxe versions or like things like that.
Yeah.
But that really does kind of bother me. I mean, I get that like a lot of work goes in these games, and sometimes maybe it'll be worth it to some people, but I don't know. I think there is a whole conversation to be said, like, should games have a set price? Like, should all games be the same price? And just know that, like, some games are going to be worth the price and some aren't. Some be worth more, some be not. I don't know. Or should games
just be set based on value?
But it's hard to say what the value is,
Yeah, and that would be wild because, I mean, our whole lives it's basically been $60 or cheaper. Some games just wouldn't be full price. But
and then as they get older, they get discounted.
Yeah.
Except if you're Nintendo games.
Yeah. So I don't know. That would be an interesting
There's
world
a conversation
to live in.
to be had about that. Because I do agree in somewhat that 70 is pretty similar to 60. But at the same time, not everyone has 60,
Yeah.
So it's like...
I mean, we've said on here before that we're very lucky that we can buy games and play all these games. So I totally get it that. Yeah, and that is a totally different issue than should I spend this money because you can't dodge.
We need to do
that's a totally different issue.
We need to do a podcast and then episodes about gaming on a budget, like how to game on a budget. Like if you are on a budget, what are your best options? Because I understand, like I do those things anyway. I really try to take in as many games as possible for the cheapest amount. So that does mean that I very rarely go out and buy a full price game. Almost never.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really get on day one very often for games in general. I mean, there's games that come out that I just like make it a point to do, but don't always do it.
I try to do whatever I can.
Yeah.
But you guys tell us, is The Last of Us Part 1 too expensive at $70? We want to know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Are $70 games just too expensive in general? Okay. Last segment of the podcast, Daniel.
This one feels meaty.
This podcast?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably going to be long. Last segment is, what games are we playing? So, I'll start us off this week. I have been playing Grand Theft Auto 4 a lot this week, and I have been playing Bayonetta 2, which I finished yesterday. I'm still not finished with Grand Theft Auto, but I finished Bayonetta 2. I really like both of those games, but I ran into an interesting conundrum with Bayonetta 2, and this happened to me yesterday. I've been playing the game on normal difficulty, and I got to, I think it was chapter 11 out of 16. And in chapter 11, I ran across a boss fight that was just really kicking my butt. And I thought, well, there's an easy solution to this, and it's just go bump the difficulty down. We did a whole podcast episode about doing that, by the way.
Hey-o.
Go check it out. But I bumped the difficulty down from normal to easy to try this boss, and I was still having a hard time. I could not get through this boss. And I was like, oh my God, if I can't even bump it down to Bayonetta is a very hard game. It's crazy, it's chaotic. You really have to get good at it.
Yeah.
And even on easy, sometimes things can be difficult. And
disclaimer.
Yeah, it's a very difficult game. So then I was like, I got to figure out something. So in the game there are the shop, and you can purchase things to increase your abilities. And there is one...
Like an in-game currency thing.
Like
this is not
currency.
like
No. I didn't spend any real money on it.
Yeah.
But you use they're called halos, but they're basically coins that you collect along the way. And you spend them to buy, various upgrades and stuff. And one of the things that I thought would be really helpful was there's this one thing that makes it so that if you dodge too late as you're getting attacked, it still gives you the benefits of dodging at the right time, which is it slows down time so that you can get some hits in on your opponent with the time slowed down. So I purchased that, and you were over when I did it. That made the world of difference. I was instantly able to do that. So
I mean, I think I just brought some luck to the house because I walked in and he beat it.
That's true. Well, I think that upgrade really helped me a lot. And then I was going to bump the game back up to normal difficulty, but I was like,
But I'm a child.
But I have 2 new games coming tomorrow. And I was like, I really want to clear one game off the list, so I'm not trying to juggle too much stuff. So yesterday, I just kept it on easy, and I just powered through the rest of the game. And I will say, that one boss gave me a lot of trouble, but everything after that on easy difficulty was honestly too easy. I don't think I died a single time for the rest of the game. The remaining 5 chapters, I don't think I died a single time.
You're a god.
Well, no, I think it just... I think that one boss just gave me some particular trouble. But
Yeah.
other than that, I haven't been playing, like I said, Grand Theft Auto 4 and Bayonetta, but I've also, Catherine and I have been playing Lego Harry Potter.
I saw that.
Very relaxing. I mean, it's not going to, it's a Lego. If you played any of the Lego games, it's exactly like those. It looks really great, actually.
Yeah, I sent you a text because I saw you were playing Lego Harry Potter, and I was like, what is he doing?
Catherine, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Catherine's a huge Harry Potter fan, and we're playing, we bought for Switch the Lego Harry Potter combo pack, which comes with the first game, which is years 1 through 4, and then the next game, which is 5 through 7. Now, Catherine's already played 1 through 4 on her own, so we're playing 5 through 7 together in co-op.
Very cool.
And it's chill. I mean, it's nothing amazing, but it's chill, and it is a good time. If you like that kind of stuff, if you like the other Lego games, you'll probably like Lego Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm still going to play that Skywalker saga or whatever it's called.
Didn't you play the demo?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you did.
No. All right, it's my turn.
Yeah, what you been playing?
Well, I have been playing Live Alive for the past day or so. I've beaten 2 of the chapters, and I was playing the 3rd one right before you walked in, actually. And that game seems like it's going to be really good for me because it's like bite-sizable. It's an RPG, but it's broken up into small chunks that you can come back to. And I just love that in a game because I like RPGs, but I don't always like what a commitment they are. So this is like the cool parts of RPGs without having to sink 50 hours and manage your inventories and, all the stuff that I don't love about RPGs. So I'm really enjoying that.
How long are each of the sections in Live Alive?
Oh, not that long. I mean, the 2 that I've beaten, they probably took me an hour and a half, maybe.
And
each.
You said there's how many sections? How many?
7.
7?
And there's something end game that adds like 10 to 15 hours.
So is it probably like a 10-hour game and then has an additional 10, 15 hours at the end?
That might be fair. Okay. Yeah.
I like to think about games in terms of how big of a chunk of hours they're going to take.
Might be a 10-hour game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll let you know, but I'm digging that. And then I'm playing Sea of Thieves.
I just leave those out when I'm talking about games now because we're always playing Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
If you follow us on Twitch, we're playing Sea of
Thieves
Thieves and Fortnite right now, so we're playing those games.
I was going to say, and we started playing Fortnite again, which has been very exciting.
Yeah.
Because that game is just great. I don't know why we ever stopped. That game is so fun.
I know. What are we thinking?
I know, and I'm about to start back to school, so all my students are going to be like, "Are you playing Fortnite, Mr. Johnson?" And I guess I'm going to have to say yes now because I am playing Fortnite. So that's pretty cool. I played a little bit of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot because I've been curious about it, and I think it kind of sucks.
We just lost our lights,
guys. We did just lose our lights. What's up with that? It's
the end of the episode. This is Gaming Gig After Dark.
Yeah, it is. That was weird. That's the rechargeable light too.
Well, that's the one because it hasn't been charged. It's the one that was on the thing.
Did I just let it die?
Yeah, you let it die.
Oh man, I suck.
It happens.
Oh well, but anyway, that's what I've been playing.
Gaming Gig After Dark. Well, now that the lights have gone out, I reckon it's time to end the podcast here. If you made it all the way to the end, let us know what you think about all this, whether it be talking about The Last of Us Part 1 controversy, the gamers creating expectations that developers can never live up to, or the price of The Last of Us. Let us know your thoughts about any of that.
Absolutely.
Right? Well, until next time, guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
And this has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.
Spooky ending where it's dark.
Boo.